So we've raised 750,000 to date in 2 rounds. We've tried to keep funding low. Most apps, especially the ones up north in Silicon Valley, will probably raise like 4 to 5 times that. We wanted to stay lean. My model was to try and build as much as we could with less to prove that we were a scalable business versus spending money that we didn't need to spend. So what we did was we took very little money to build out the platform and the app, as well as kind of build the insurance part of it and the legal and all that stuff. And then once we went live, we took on a little bit more money to scale it here in Los Angeles and work on what we're working on now, getting those two numbers down. And then ultimately, we'll probably take another larger investment to scale, and that will hopefully be our final investment.
So when you think about taking money, how does that process work? I know you're in California. Obviously, California is a lot easier to get funding than some of these other places because you're kind of around this atmosphere where everybody's kind of doing it and everybody's needing funding for something. So tell me a little bit about that process. Is that something you initiate, or is that something you kind of go to a firm for? So how would, why would someone invest in you, especially knowing what happened the first time around?
Excellent. Yeah, so as far as ways to find funding, there's tons of ways. We've used tons of ways. Of course, you start with family and friends. I think the best thing to do, back to my previous advice to entrepreneurs, is you tell as many people about your idea, and then the more and more people you get to say, oh, that's a good idea, I really like it, then you go ahead and you ask those people if they would invest. Because everyone will tell you it's a good idea until they're willing to invest. And then they'll be like, oh, well, actually, I don't really think this is going to work. I don't think that's going to work. And that's when you get the even better feedback. So it's like, man, that's even better than money. Okay, what else didn't you like? Great. And so we started by raising money from family and friends who also had other family and friends, et cetera, et cetera. Some of those friends were in YPO and other organizations that put us in touch with a lot of other angels here in LA. So that really helped. We also found people on just, angel lists who were following our company. We were following them back, and we exchanged some phone calls and did, sent them a pitch deck and set up a call. That's a way to do it. We've spoken to plenty of VC firms. We've spoken to a few investment banks. So, there's plenty of ways to go about funding.
But it wasn't on your first attempt that you got it.
No.
You got a check from the first guy you talked to.
No, definitely not. No, even my parents, I think it took a good, 4 or 5 months to get them to believe in the idea, which is great. So it really gave us time to really sink our teeth in the idea and get the ball rolling. So I would say, why would an investor invest in me who's had other businesses that haven't done so well? I would say that just shows that I have, I guess, more experience than someone who's starting for the first time.
I think failure is only part of the process, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I think it was Mr. Eric Schmidt said you only have to be right once. So.
Well, good. Well, I really love your story. It's very progressive. It shows true entrepreneurial traits at work. And I think you're taking all of the right steps one after the next, trying to kind of build more than just a business, but really kind of a platform, which will eventually become much more than just a small business. So, very, very good seeing more people kind of do that out there. Can you leave us with any parting words kind of for our audience in terms of either advice or things you've learned along the way? Yeah,
I would say ultimately, those who risk the most get the most out of life. And I would say, I have a lot of friends out there that ask me all the time, like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? You didn't know this. There's always going to be 1,000 unknowns when starting a business. And at the end of the day, there's no advice that I can give you that's more important than just doing it. There's never a good time to start a business. There's never a less risky time. Every time you start a business, it's a risk. You may lose money. You may lose time. But I promise you, it's 10,000 times as rewarding as anything else you've ever done. So just jump. If you have a good idea, jump. Go for it. You won't be disappointed.